Welcome back to Basement Philosophies, where the conversation can go anywhere. Just a disclaimer, I am not a medical doctor, so anything we discuss here is just my personal experience and not at all medical advice. Let's get to it. I'm your host, Brittany, and I'm so happy that you're here. That's it. I'm totally changing my intro. I think it's kind of cringe, but we're going to keep it for now because that took me forever to learn how to do. Like, when I say I'm starting from scratch, guys, you have no idea. I didn't, like, when I pay people sometime for whatever it is, and I have to use, like, Venmo or PayPal, they're pretty self-explanatory, right? But I'm like, can we use Venmo? I've used that the most, and it's just easier for me. God, so pathetic. I know, like, we live in a day and age where technology is like the thing, and I'm like, meh, it's hard. I don't want to do it. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. There are people out there who are actually downloading my podcast. Like, not very many, but I don't care. It feels like 1 billion people to me. So thank you. Thank you for being here and listening. It means so much. I was writing earlier, and I was just like, I want to record a podcast now. Like, I'm getting pumped. And I had to go, like, when inspiration takes me over, because otherwise it will never get done. And you just gotta go. Because it's true, like, inspiration, motivation, that comes in spurts, especially now. And in the morning, so I finally slept amazing last night. Amazing as it can be, but way better. And, man, I woke up feeling great. I was happy because I slept, because I don't usually. And I just really loved waking up today. And it's just a beautiful day. And it's warm outside. I think I'm looking at the weather right now, and it's going to be 78. Oh, my God. That is incredible. I do go to therapy after this. And I'm going to meet with my photographer. So, not everybody. Some people think it's really weird that I'm getting a photographer for active labor. And I just figured, like, I'm such a dude when it comes to memories and photos, and especially, like, decorating. And I'm just not good at any of it. And every place, like, I'm with, like, I obviously live with my fiance, but every place, like, we go, it just looks like him. And it's not that he doesn't value my input, which, I don't know, maybe he doesn't, but I think he would let me do whatever, but it always just ends up looking like him. So it's like, okay, I don't know what we need to do, but I don't want to look. It doesn't look like just a dude lives here, but it's definitely all him. He's straight up loving, like, mid-modern everything, and I'm not. I don't know if you've ever seen Cougar Town with Courtney Cox. It's the cheesiest show, but I love it. I love her house. I like how it's decorated, and there's, like, I was obsessed with just all white, like everyone does, and I like color. I want color now. Not a lot, just not overboard. Just go watch Cougar Town. It's hilarious. I mean, it's canceled now, probably because it's so bad, but I loved it. I still watch it all the time. But there was, I don't know where I was going. Oh, yeah. My photographer. So I have a photographer, like, for active labor, because I assume I'm going to be in so much pain that I won't remember. So I'm having her. And then, like, I originally was like, Jamie, why don't you just take the photos? But then I wasn't sure if she was moving. And then I don't know how she's going to be in that kind of situation. So I'm just giving her, like, a little camcorder just so... I think she'll be good at it, because it'll be really raw and natural and hilarious. And if you know my sister, she's freaking the funniest person I know. So she's gonna have a little camcorder, And like, I just know like she's not the type of person to like stay calm and like keep her cool. So she's gonna be like, oh my God, what's happening? Oh my God. I could just hear it all. So that's what I want to see and hear it all. Like when it's all said and done and I'm at home with baby healing, like I want to be able to see all this stuff and laugh. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm meeting with a photographer today. She's new, but I love that about her because I don't know what I want. And it gives her the ability to, kind of, work on her craft and kind of experiment with whatever she wants and maybe what works and what doesn't. And I feel like I'm a good person for her to do that with because I don't know what I want. Like, I'm just as new as she is. I'm not specific when it comes to that kind of stuff. And some people are. Some people are, but no, I'm controlling in other aspects of my life. I was starting to write like a little article, and sometimes I know what I want to talk about, sometimes I don't. I had a little idea. I was like, this might be good to talk about. So we're going to spend a little time talking about how I am a huge mess sometimes. And as much as it pains me to admit that I am not perfect, although I tell my fiance that I am, I think it's important that we can talk about not being so perfect and not doing everything correctly. I used to... I'll give you a little timeline. So, just a little short one so you can get a gist. So, I would say in grade school, I was pretty numb to everything. Maybe. I don't know. It was just like, I know that I'm trying to remember, like, Sacred Heart, that's where I went from kindergarten to 8th grade. It was like the same people I grew up with, and my mom worked there, and it was just comfortable for me. And I remember being so sad leaving 8th grade. One, because I just didn't want to do the high school thing. I never wanted to go. I just wasn't looking forward to it, and it wasn't necessarily the school I went to. Like, I knew I would get a good education. I knew my parents were sacrificing so much for me to go there, and I'm so grateful for that experience. But at the same time, I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to skip high school and, like, go to college, even though I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I did not know that I wouldn't know what I wanted to do for many, many years to come. So my advice to anyone out there who has not gone to college or is about to go to college or anything like that, and I think a lot of people are realizing it now, is do not go to college just for the sake of going. Go because you have something specific in mind that you want to do. I think there's plenty of avenues out there where you don't need to go to college now, and anything can be done without going to college. I'm not talking lawyers and doctors here. I'm talking, other things, and I don't think you need to go to college for a lot. I say this as I'm getting a master's degree, but I'm working towards an LPC, so I need that degree. I wish I would have known I wanted to do this way sooner. But ultimately, this is how it worked out for me. But I think it worked out just how it needed to. I wouldn't have understand how important this job is had I not went through some very terrible things myself. I think this is just how it needed to be. And so that's my advice. Anybody don't go to college for acting. Well, no, do it if you want, but just don't go, don't take out loans to do that. Just, if you're going to take out loans, which I don't advocate at all, but as I'm stating, I'm a hypocrite because I'm doing that right now, but I don't have any money. But I wouldn't advise it. Like, I'm in debt a lot, so I have to worry about that. That's my mistake. Learn from them. But if you have a craft, and I say whatever you enjoy, go and do that and make something of yourself. Try and try. The world is going to chew you up and spit you out maybe more than once. Life is not easy. Life will not be handed to you for the majority of us anyways. You have to make it happen. And I've always known this, but for some reason, like now, I'm just like, okay, like what specific things can I do to make my trajectory forward happen? So I believe in energy. I believe stagnant energy really impacts us, our lives, our thoughts, our bodies. A lot of people don't believe that, but I do. If I told my fiance that, he would just probably die laughing. But I truly believe that, especially like stagnant energy, and I believe it because in my Ashtanga yoga practice, which I can barely move right now. Like, I walk a lot because everything else is just, it's ridiculous. But more about that later. In my Ashtanga yoga practice, when I was really practicing, when I had my teacher, and I say had, not because I don't love her, I do. She just has to work now, and she works in the hospitals, and she just hasn't been able to open up her place. And now I can't go because I'm as big as a whale. But in my practice, I recall like certain postures, which I wouldn't say that repetitive Ashtanga is the answer. I know a lot of people are coming out about injuries and things like that, and it's totally fine. So if you're like listening to this and you're against Ashtanga, like, I hear you. I'm not like, this is not a hill that I'm willing to die on. It's just something that's worked out so well for me. But in my practice, I noticed, like, especially with primary series, because it is intense. It's so hard, especially if you're starting from nothing like me. And as you build the strength and build the flexibility and you get into these different positions, your body starts to change, but that energy, that stagnation in your body, it starts to like loosen up and move. And when that happens, oh my gosh, the emotions are crazy. So, and even, I know I've spoken this before, but there was a bunch of these I mean, you can go back and listen, but let's just say they'll get better and better from here, even if they're cringe. But if you want to go back and listen, please do. But my podcast episodes are pretty cringe because I'm just starting out. But anyway, one of the things that I talked about was grief, like in your body, like physically in your body. So there's going to be a time on this podcast where I talk a lot about grief, and I'm going to invite some people on. It's going to be a long series, I think, because I think it's an important topic that we need to discuss. But anyway, when we aren't integrating our emotions, they can get stuck. And people don't believe that, but I do. And this would be one of the... I already believed it, but this like solidified it for me. So I suffered from low back pain. I don't know if I heard it a long time ago and it just kept coming back, or I don't know, but my back would give out sporadically. And it was just so insane because I didn't know why. But in all fairness, when it first started happening, I never put much thought into it. And I was like, I must have just hurt myself, or I must have did something, and then It started happening when I started my yoga, and I just, I could, like, sometimes I couldn't even get out of bed. And I remember one morning I couldn't even move. And I think I called my mom over. It was when I lived by them. And I cried and I said, oh my God, I can't move. Like, I didn't know if I was paralyzed or what, because my alarm went off to go to work. It was like 5:30 or 6 a.m. It was early, but I could not move. And it freaked me out. She came to check on me, but I was like moving my legs and stuff. But it was bad, but I couldn't. Oh, sorry. I thought I turned that off. Oh my gosh. I don't know how to turn that beeping off. Sorry. Anyways, I couldn't get out of bed. So, like, that was one of the first episodes, and I was like, oh my God. And then I could barely walk, and I just kind of, I didn't know if I should put ice or heat, or I just so confused. I didn't know what happened. I never, like, got on hardcore, like, painkillers. I didn't even go to the doctor. I was just like, whoa, weird. I guess I need to rest. And then it kept kind of happening. And it was right before my sister's husband died. It happened again. And I was sitting. You hear my dog snore? I usually have her up, but sorry. Anyway, I was sitting on my couch watching my show, but something big had happened in my life, and I know I was sad about it, but and I'm not going to go into what that was just yet, but I was in so much pain. And I remember I was texting my now fiance. It was like the first time he ever texted me, I think. And I think he was drunk, but he was like texting me, and I just was not, I wasn't feeling it. I was just watching my show. I was watching House, I'll never forget. And I was just hurting, and I was just on my couch, couldn't move. But then, after a few days, it'd warm up, and then, but like sneezing or anything like that was terrifying. I don't know if you've ever had back pain like that. Anyways, sorry, I'm babbling. I was just kind of reminiscing. So it happened then, and then, my sister's husband died, and a bunch of stuff was happening, and it didn't happen, but I was, caring for my sister and trying to take care of myself, and just things were going on in my life, and I was not coping with anything very well. It was just hard seeing my sister that way. It was hard losing Mike that way because he's just really funny. Sorry. Anyway, so then it was maybe I think years maybe. I know my back was always tender, but it might have been a year and a half after. Or maybe it was even last year. Yeah, last year, because my fiance went to the lake, cut his foot, and ended up getting E. coli in his foot and almost lost his foot. But when he was dealing with that pain, before he had surgery, because he was trying to kill it with antibiotics, I remember taking care of him, and my back went out. And I just cried because I knew that how bad it was going to hurt. And I'm talking I could sit still and it was stabbing pains in my back. God, it hurt so bad. And I was like, why? And I know I didn't do anything to hurt it. It was just happening. And I was like, oh my God. And I just crawled to, it feels good to sit on the hard floor. So I crawled to where the couch was, and I sat on the floor, and I just cried because I was just so mad that my back was hurting. And I was trying to take care of, sorry about her. I was trying to take care of him. I knew I needed to take care of him. I'm going to have to edit this. I don't know how to do that. if I can't edit it, then you're going to hear that. I had to stop, answer the phone, and then my dog started walking around, and she has like tiny high heels, it sounds like, but it's just her claws on the floor. But anyways, so I was back to my story. I knew I had to like take care of him, but I knew that like I wouldn't be able to move that well, and it was just not the right time for my back to start hurting, and I did not understand why it hurt. And then sure enough, the next day he goes to work and he's like sweating. He left that morning not telling me what kind of pain he was in and what was going on with his foot. And he went off to work and he is like sweating in pain there. And he finally called and he's like, I have to go to the hospital. Like, we need to go now. And I said, what's going on? And I didn't know if I was going to be able to go or drive because like I could barely walk. But, you know, I knew I needed to be there. I wanted to be there for him. So I just went and I just ignored the pain and I went. It hurt to walk, it hurt to drive, it hurt to sit, but it didn't matter. He ended up being admitted to the hospital. We transferred from the emergency clinic that had seen him prior, that gave him all the medication, and we went and we were admitted to the hospital. And this was like COVID, so I could stay with him for a little while, but I had to leave and come back in the morning, and if I left, then I wasn't allowed to come back. It was crazy then, but so he ended up having surgery, the whole thing. But during that time, that's when I started to do some research about back pain and like unexplainable back pain. And there's a book on it. I'll find it and link it. I think there's a way for me to do that. I'll figure it out and I'll link it below. But I read this book and it was basically saying not ignore the pain, but I don't know what it was saying. It was like don't cater to the pain, basically. And so like don't be terrified of your sneeze, just sneeze. You know, and it was kind of like that, like do that. So I started doing it and sure enough, it did help, but I still needed more. And so I was just like, well, I know that, you know, energy resides in the body, especially when it's not integrated, like our emotions. When we like, believe me, I am a pro at stuffing down my emotions and ignoring them. Thank you, wine, for helping me forget. Okay. It's not funny, but it is. Because I think most of us do that. But at some point, you have to stop running. So mine manifested into physical, horrible back pain. And I was like, I wonder, like, what do we hold there? So there's different areas of the body that hold, you know, different types of emotions. We can go through that someday if y'all are interested. But in your lower back, you carry around stress and grief and things like that. So I was just kind of going over my life. And I was like, that really makes a lot of sense. Because I know that so much happened. Like my sister's husband died. My life changed drastically. I was in this relationship, but I didn't really know how to be in it. And I'm just not good with relationships. And it's not like I have, you know, the easiest relationship. Just simply because, you know, the both of us, we're just learning. We were just learning each other and learning to be together. And I was learning to be with someone because I hadn't been for so long that it's just hard. Transition's hard. And I realized that I hadn't really taken the time to grieve the passing of not only like my sister's husband, but of the life that I once had. Because everything was so different now. And I just kind of went day to day, just numbing and moving through the day. And it was so empty thinking about how I felt. And so I was like, okay, so what do I need to do? How do I integrate this? And I was terrified. I didn't know, like, you know, people say sit with your emotions, but when it's manifested into something like back pain, I didn't know what was going to happen with that. So what they say, so what I did was I laid on the floor, and I think it was a meditation for lower back pain, just a short little, like 5 or 10 minutes maybe. And so I got on the floor, child's pose. You put your knees under you and you lean forward with your arms out. And I was just taking like really deep breaths, and I was like breathing into my lower back and kind of like opening that area up, and it felt really good to like stretch it. So I just kept breathing and listening to whatever that chick was saying. And after 10 minutes, nothing really, you know, happened. I mean, it felt good to stretch it out, but nothing really happened. And I was just like, well, I feel like I need to stay here just a bit longer. And oh my God. So I kept breathing, and I was like, wait, like I didn't know if I was going to freak out or vomit. Like I just felt something. And sure enough, a waterfall, a violent ball of emotions. And I say waterfall because the tears started and they were just pouring out of my face, the snot. It was just the ugliest, grossest cry ever. And it's just like this ball in my back was just, I don't know, doing its thing. And I was just crying because it hurt, and I was sad, and everything was painful, and the sadness, you know, and it just exploded. And for, I don't know, I don't even think it was that long, maybe 5 minutes at most, maybe a little longer, maybe not. Like, it was just so the biggest cry I've ever had. Like, I was literally on the floor. Eventually, like, I rolled over into the fetal position, you know, like people do in the shower. But I was in the middle of the floor on the rug, and I was just sobbing and crying and just letting it all out. And it was just the loudest, ugliest cry, and I had a pillow there, so I was just kind of like screaming into it and just letting all of it out. And oh my gosh, after that I took a deep breath, and I was like shocked at what just came out of me. And I was like, whoa, that was intense. And it's funny to think back on it now. And God. And sure enough, so I was still like, of course, you know, tender in my lower back. When after that, it was still, you know, hurting. And I went to go take a long, warm bath. And I laid down and I slept, because it's really exhausting when you do that kind of work. If you've ever been to even talk therapy and you're sobbing in there, like, you know how tired you are when you get out of like a really intense therapy session. It's just like that. Only not as expensive, and nobody was there. And so I slept and I went to sleep that night, woke up, and the pain was significantly lower. Because the reason why I looked into it in the first place is because I was sitting on the couch, just sitting there, and the pain was so severe, and I was like, I have to do something. I can't even sit. What do I need to do? And I just kind of I don't know what made me look up what I did. I think I was just meant to. And so I was like, here, last resort, because my stretches aren't working. Nothing's working. And so I did that meditation, and by golly, it worked. And I haven't had, knock on wood, because I don't want to, knock, knock, knock. I haven't had an episode like that since. And that's crazy to me. So I'm not saying that it will work for you. I'm just saying, like, that is what happened, and that solidified that energy that's in our bodies. That's why it's so important to acknowledge our emotions, acknowledge our stories, tell our stories, share our lives with other people, just because it will help us. It'll help us integrate, and I think, it helps other people, and that's the whole point. And it's just, I don't know. So, like, at my work as a future therapist is going to take in the physical like aspect of the body. I know that even my own therapist, who I love, and she's like my best friend, and she doesn't even know it. Like, she's never ever been like, well, what's your diet like? What's this and that? And that's all the things that I want to do. And because your diet is so important, and movement is so important. And there's so many contributing factors. It's not medication, I'm not against medication. Totally have taken it. Since I haven't for years now, but I have. Like, I've been there. So it's no judgment. It got me out of a really dark place. And I think that if you need that, then you need it. And that's okay. There's nothing to be ashamed about. You do you, But the message here is that there's so much that we need to do and can do to take care of our bodies, and it's not necessarily something, to go to the doctor for. And I'm obsessed with the doctor. Like, I used to be obsessed with the doctor. Like, I used my health insurance like a champ, and I never thought twice about it. I never thought about my diet or my lifestyle or the choices I was making. That connection was not clear to me. I didn't think there was a connection. I was just drinking and working, and that was my life. And I don't know, I guess when everything fell apart and I was all alone and there were no distractions, it really gave me time to think, like, hey, I need to reevaluate the way that I'm living and doing. And that's how I've gotten to this place, which, I'm no expert. I'm sharing my story from the trenches, basically. Like, I'm still terrible, like my energy around money, and my energy around my self-esteem, my energy just, I know there was like a time in my life when I didn't care about anything, really. I was just like taking care of myself. Nobody needed me, and it was easier. And then, like, after Mike died, I went through all of that. After my ragey stage, I went through rage. That was really weird. It was excessive drinking and rage. And then one really, really bad episode there. And so I got help after that. And then after that happened, that's when I started seeing a therapist again. And then when I started seeing my therapist, because I had lost control, basically, of myself, of everything. I lost control of everything. And what happened was I then tried to kind of overcompensate, and I tried to control everything just to avoid getting hurt. And lo and behold, I was getting hurt all the time. Things were triggering me all the time in my relationship, certain words, actions. I was paranoid, like so paranoid. I mean, some were for good reason, but I was still very paranoid. And and I just was nitpicky, and I would just look around. Like, from a person that didn't give a shit about anything, I gave a shit about every tiny little thing. Like, why is that person looking at me? Who is my partner talking to? And like, I had a job at the time, and I'm like, why are they talking about me? Like, what's going on? And it was just paranoia. Oh God, it was awful. And I was just trying to control my environment, my situation. There, you can't control everything, because it will all fall apart, and you just can't control. Really, I mean, there are some things you can control, but it's basically yourself. You can control the decisions that you make, the way you react. You know, you can control those things, but anything outside of you, you're not going to control them. And you can try, but nothing good is going to probably come from it. So now I'm in this place where I'm like a recovering control freak. And and trying to be that when you're as pregnant as I am, it's not easy. It would just be much easier if I could numb myself with alcohol. So not funny. Why am I laughing? But it's true. But everything would be so much easier if I could just run from it, right? But what pregnancy has been a true gift, in the sense that it's made me present, it's made me hear, it's made me aware. And I just can't help but think that pregnancy is like a emotional detox, basically. Like, it's a very healing, beautiful experience. At least it has been for me. And I don't know if anybody can agree with that, but if, you know, a lot of people might think this is bullshit, but it's just my brain doing what it does. I was thinking about, like, you know, hormones and the science behind pregnancy, like the biology and all of that. And of course, like, your body is changing. You have different things firing, you know, like different hormones are out there. Some are flooded. You're flooding your system at different times. Of course, like, your moods change. But I was in the bath the other day, and I was just sobbing so hard at nothing. And I couldn't help but think that, like, my body is like cleansing whatever it was holding on to. And it's just, it was, because I felt, you know, of course, tired after, but I felt better after. And I was just like, oh man, I really needed to cry. And I couldn't help but wonder, like, is that just hormones, or is there like a deeper meaning? And I think if I look at it in that way, it's like a really beautiful experience. Like, just to chalk it up as pregnancy hormones, I feel like that waters down the experience. I feel like that waters down the importance of what we are doing on an energy level. And I know that's very woo-woo, but that's just my thought. It was just, it made the whole process make a little more sense to me, and it made me feel better about my mood swings. And I mean, I'm also doing this breathing. I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before. It's called, hold on, I'm looking it up. The Presence Process, a journey into present moment awareness. It's by Michael Brown. It's a 10-week breathing exercise, basically. And in the morning you do 15 minutes, and at night you do 15. Now, I was very consistent in the beginning, but you know, life happens, but that's okay. You're just supposed to let the experience happen, and that's what I've been doing. And I've done it once before, and you're not supposed to drink or anything like that during. And before, I think I kind of did, but not all the time. My drinking, it was significantly lower during the 10 weeks that I did this. And this was at the very beginning of my spiritual journey. It's when I didn't really even understand what spirituality was. It was right after, my terrible breakup, and I lost all my friends, and I was questioning like my religion, like my faith, everything. Like I didn't even know how I felt about God anymore. It was just a really hard time. And I remember sitting down and doing this process. Like it was the first time that I sat down to do, it's like a breathing, it's like active breathing, and it can be really intense if you've never ever done it before. And I can remember the first time I tried. So back then my brain, the way it worked was, it was just white noise. So I would feel things and not know like what they were. I didn't know what I was feeling because I had been numbing myself for years and years and years. And so the only way I can describe it is my brain was white noise. It was just like, that's what I heard all day long. So if I felt something, I didn't know what it was. So in an effort to kind of break that stuff apart and start working towards it, I did this exercise, and it was this breathing, and I had like a panic attack. I felt really, really sick, like to my stomach, nauseous, sick. And it was very hard, like to sit there because it's 15 minutes morning and night. And it was almost unbearable, but I did it and it got easier, it got better. So it's an older book, but I love it, and I'm doing it again. I'm in week 7, I believe, and I don't know, it's been a good experience, not as intense as the first time I did it, but it's made me really, be in the moment with my baby and kind of try to connect with her. And I don't know, it's helping me be healthier. And I mentioned it because I just think everybody should try it. Maybe you'll like it, but if not, don't. If it doesn't resonate with you, don't. I'm not saying it's the answer. Nothing really is it? We're all different. We all have different paths, and what works for me might not work for everybody. It's just my experience, and it kind of gives you a starting place. That was my starting place. So there was one other thing that I wanted to mention, but I totally can't remember what it was. So I guess I wasn't meant to talk about it this time. But anyway, I'm going to close this off now because I got to go to my appointment. But I'm so happy that you're here. I am so happy that you're sticking with me and supporting me. And I love you all so much. As I stated before, if there's anything that I can do, contact me. If there's this way I can pray for you, let me know. And I will say that prayer for you. You can contact me on my website, basementphilosophies.com, or just email me directly, basementphilosophies@gmail.com. I love you so much, and I will talk to you soon.